What if I told you you could make 2025 the year that you visit that dream destination, meet lifelong friends on the road, and feel more freedom than ever before? My name is Patty Hunt, and you're listening to the RV Life Podcast. Whether you're already RVing or dreaming about it, today, I will help you turn your dreams into reality. I have top tips for you to help you make 2025 the ideal dream for RVing. The RV Life Podcast was created to educate, entertain, and explore the RV lifestyle. It has been my mission to inspire you to live life to the fullest. This week, What You Need to Know is brought to you by Open Road Resorts. They have locations in Montana, Idaho, Nebraska, and New Mexico. And they have two amazing locations in Texas. So if you're looking to get away from the cold weather, go to one of these two locations in Texas to spend a few nights or several months. Open Road Resorts is offering you, my listeners, 25% off your stays of 2 nights or more at any of their parks. The 25% off is valid until January 31st, 2025, and is good for the whole 2025 season. You use code RVLIFE25. This is case sensitive, and they are all capital letters. If you choose to call Open Road Resorts to do your booking, just let them know you heard about this on the RV Life Podcast. And of course, some blockout dates do apply. What you need to know. Forecast for 2025 RV travel. Expected to see continued rise in RV travel, with more people choosing RVs to vacation, with a trend toward longer trips and exploring diverse destinations beyond the traditional campgrounds. That's your What You Need to Know, and it is brought to you by Open Road Resorts, and you can reach them at the link in the show notes or go to openroadresorts.com. Today is a solo episode, and the last two RV Life episodes were with my expert, Joe Fier from Hustle and Flowchart podcast. He is my good friend, and we have many incredible conversations that I knew I wanted to bring him on to help you navigate the end of 2024 so it is strong and you are ready for 2025. And then our next episode was the start of 25, and we helped you plan the 2025 to make it more amazing. So I highly recommend you check out those two episodes. We talked about the idea of New Year's resolutions and goal setting. And let's face it, how they usually fail in the first few weeks, the first few months. But we gave some actionable tips to help you fulfill your dreams for 2025. So I hope you listen to those episodes. Please leave me comments or questions. You can leave Joe Fier comments and questions, and we will get back to you. Well, today I want to talk about this idea of RVing and whether you're full-time, part-time, sometime, or you are dreaming of going RVing. This episode is for you. Let me go back and talk a little bit about my RV story, which started 4 years ago. And it was 2020. We were on a lockdown. My husband, Dan, and I were living in Las Vegas. And for the first time ever, the Las Vegas Strip was shut down. And this is something that had never happened before. As a matter of fact, they needed to put chains on the doors because the casino doors didn't have locks. So think about it. The casinos were open 24/7, 365 days. And so they needed to chain the doors and have security so that people couldn't get in. It was a crazy time. It was a time for me that was somewhat scary. It was a wake-up call for me to look at my life and decide what I wanted to do moving forward. After several months of being in this shutdown, there was no money coming in. Lots of our bills were building up. And so there was the money stress of how we're going to continue this way. At this time, nobody really knew how long this would last. And I know for a lot of you, maybe I'm bringing up some stressful feelings. Um, and so the way that my story worked, Dan called me up to his office and he said, "Hey, why don't we sell everything, get an RV, and live full time on the road?" And I looked at him and I laughed because I thought he was kidding. But when I looked at his face, I knew he was serious. And the way that I work, my whole thing was a ton of questions. I wanted to know what we were going to do. What was it going to look like? How were we going to do that? All the questions, all the things that came up. And over several months, it was about 2 months, I started to think about the idea and think, okay, what do we have to lose? Now, I want people to understand, first of all, even at that point, the things that I did were to inspire other people to live life fully. It was something I believed in, something I wanted to help people to accomplish in whatever way I could do that. But I got to be honest, I was scared to death. And I just kind of decided to be scared, but jump in with both feet. And this was probably in November. And then the following year, January, we looked at and found an RV. And in February, we purchased that RV. And the 1st of March, we hit the road. We had something of a plan, but I got to be honest, not the best of plans. My hope today is to offer some tips to you to help you with the planning. And again, whether you're already on the road or you're thinking about getting on the road, I hope these tips will help you to make your RV experience better and easier. So, one of the things I started with was my why. I believe that knowing why I was doing something was incredibly important. There's a great book that we spoke about, Joe Fier and I spoke about in the last episode, and the book is, I think it's called Find Your Why by Simon Sinek. I highly recommend it. So, my why had been to live my best life, being happy and fulfilled, no regrets. Of course, my why was my family and friends were very important to me. So, the first thing I'm going to suggest to you is to think about what your why is, write it down. So, whether you like to write things down by hand or you want to talk it into a note type app, but having that, why do you want to do what you're doing? What motivates you? What gets you, up in the morning? That is a great first start, I believe. The other thing for me is, what's the dream? So I've had these dreams of things that I wanted to do. And honestly, for a long time, I would dream of these things. And I honestly didn't really think they would be something that would happen. It was just something you dream about. It's kind of out there. And so I started to think about how I could make my dream a reality. And I think that's one of the important steps. If you just want to go explore, if you want to have experiences, if you want to go out in RV, whatever that looks like, think about what are those things you'd like to do. One of the things Dan said when he talked about going RVing full time, he said, we can visit every national park in the country. Well, that wasn't necessarily my thing. Yes, there are national parks I'd like to visit, but to think that was our goal and that was the end all be all just didn't work for me. And we were on the road for every 3 years. And to date, we have been to 0 national parks. And people laugh when I say that, but it didn't happen. We found other things that we liked or enjoyed, other places to go, other experiences we had. But I'm going to recommend that you set goals. what would be the things that you would like to do? You could create what's called a bucket list. And I love having these lists because I love being reminded of the things that I want to do. I know that I have a bucket list that I will cross things off of. I went to the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, which was amazing. And while I cross things off my bucket list, there are always things that I'm constantly adding to it. So I'd suggest writing down what's on your bucket list, writing down the things that you want to do. Here's another suggestion. It was just my husband and I that were going RVing. I know, and I've interviewed a lot of families with kids of various ages. My suggestion would be everybody take some time separately, write down the things that they'd like to do or experience or see, whether it's going to a hot springs or seeing waterfalls or the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, whatever that is, make a list and then come together and share your lists together. And for kids, maybe ask them some things they'd like to do, write it down for them, because I really believe that everybody coming together and seeing, okay, I want to go skydiving, which I don't, just putting that out there, but maybe somebody wants to experience skydiving. And for me personally, that's a hard limit. I'll go, I'll watch you skydive, but that's not something I'll do. Now, I will say that there have been things that I did, like zip lining in Panama, and never having thought that would be something I would do. So being open and honest, hearing each other, that is a great way to get started with this idea of RVing. Again, whether it's sometime part-time, full-time, whatever that looks like. And that's probably a discussion too. The next thing I want to talk about is some top tips for making RVing smoother. Some of the things to consider before you start, or even if you're out there. I have interviewed many, many people, talked to many people. I've had experts on the show that have shared some of these tips to help you budget, tips to help you navigate, all these different things. And some of the things that I have learned and hope that my listeners are learning alongside of me is budgeting. So I did a few episodes on budgeting, and this is huge. When I started out, just to be very honest and very transparent, when I started my RVing journey, I didn't have the best finances going into it. I didn't have the best plan for a budget. I didn't know what I didn't know. This is one of the reasons that I want to do the RV Life podcast and share information to help people with information that they might not have thought of. Budgeting obviously is a huge topic, and there's two parts to that. There are ways to save money and ways maybe to make money on the road. For some people, they have savings, they have retirement, whatever that looks like, but really looking at budget, also knowing that you can't plan for everything. Checking out some of the experts that I did that really dove into this topic probably be very helpful. For Dan and I, we learned how to start making money while we were on the road. This can become a long, challenging process, I'll be honest. So when we started, we did start a YouTube channel. That takes time. So anybody that tells you start a YouTube channel, you'll make money and that's how you'll live on the road, I would caution you on that. We also found ways to make money through affiliate programs, recommending products and services that we like and believe in on the podcast. So 10 months after starting RVing, we started the RV Life podcast, and we have affiliates, we have advertisers. Just, as a note here, all of the people that I work with, all of the advertisers are people, companies, services that I truly believe in. And that was something, no matter what the money was, I needed to truly believe in. And I'm very grateful for the advertisers on the RV Life podcast that have kept us going. So there's a lot there to consider. You want to do your research and see what works for you when it comes to either being an affiliate or saving money. One of the things I will suggest is that you absolutely do your own research. Don't listen to the first thing or everything you hear. You have to make your own decision. It's funny. We all know you get on social media, you ask a question, and there are 10 completely different answers. So, really trusting yourself, doing your own research. A great example when Dan and I first started out, staying at campgrounds became an expense that we had not budgeted for. We did not think it was going to be as costly as it turned out to be. One of the things we had heard about was the Thousand Trails membership. And for some of you right now, you're reacting to that because the Thousand Trails membership, if you go online, there is a ton of controversy. Because of that controversy, there is an episode about Thousand Trails and the controversy and breaking it down. When we first heard about Thousand Trails, it was a lot of negative that we heard from a YouTube channel. So my thought was, it's no good. I don't want any parts of it. Finally decided to give it a shot, and it worked really well for us. It has worked incredibly well. We started with the basic pass and we upgraded our membership. And it honestly was what helped us be able to afford to stay on the road. Again, do your own research. I highly recommend a membership specialist. They can answer all your questions, help you through the process, give you the accurate information. But there are other ways to make money and save money. And again, that's an episode all in itself. Memberships and apps, please just don't go out and buy everything you see and hear all at once. Kind of take your time, see how you're going to travel, how you want to navigate, how fast you're going to go, the types of places you want to stay before you go out and buy the different apps. One of the things I highly recommend if you have a diesel fuel vehicle is the Open Road fuel card. And I recommend that. They are a sponsor on the podcast. It is called Open Roads, and there is a link in the show notes. The card is free to get. You sign up, you get the card, and then you have an app that shows you places that you save anywhere from 10, 20, 40 cents. I've saved even $1 a gallon on diesel fuel. So there is ways to save money. Planning is something else that you want to think about as you are looking at traveling, whether you're traveling in your local area or you're traveling across the country. For Dan and I, we traveled across the country 3.5 times in the little over 3 years that we traveled. Before we ever started out, Dan had purchased the RV Life Pro app, and that app is for trip planning, RV Safe GPS, campground reviews, and there's so much more. But what he did when he was in the process of trying to convince me to go full-time RVing, he planned on the RV Life app, the trip, the things we could see, the places we could stay, and he laid it all out. So there was a visual for me, and he was excited and talked about it, and I could see, oh, okay, we could stop here, we could do this. So it was very cool. I absolutely believe in the RV Life Pro suite of products. There are Trip Wizard, RV Safe GPS, campground reviews. I highly recommend it. And there's a 25% discount in the show notes. Absolutely check that out and see if it is right for you. Now, when you're talking about planning, I have always been a planner. I had to know what was coming. So my whole thing when somebody would say something is, what does that look like? What are we going to do? How is that going to work? And what should I wear? That was my line of questioning. But starting down the road of RV life, flexibility is key. You absolutely have to be able to be flexible. And I will just share that if I could be flexible, I feel like anybody can. I serious when I say I was the planner. I needed to know what was coming. I needed to know what was happening. And I just learned to embrace and actually enjoy the unknown. And it was scary as heck. I'm not going to say it wasn't. It was definitely scary. One of the things I want to share is for me, and I know for a lot of people, fear definitely holds people back from living their dreams, from doing the things they truly want to do. And, what's the answer to that? For me, I was afraid, but decided to do it anyway. And that's when I decided to jump in to the RV life. And as I said on the podcast, we have sponsors that really help to keep the podcast going. And one of our sponsors is Air Skirts. And this is a hassle-free RV skirting that inflates. RV skirting goes around the perimeter of your RV to prevent warm air from escaping. It traps air in as a natural insulator, and it protects your pipes from freezing and causing damage. Plus, you could save on heating cost. It has a heavy-duty military-grade PVC-coated canvas, and it sets up in minutes. There's no holes to drill or nasty, messy DIY stuff. These are amazing. And Air Skirts is giving you, my listeners, $200 off a kit order. So $200 off. You go to airskirts.com and use RV Pod. That is RV POD at Air Skirts. Again, now I'll be honest, I've not used this product. I did not camp in the winter, so I did not use this product, but I have met the inventor. I've met people who have used it, and I think it is I've touched the product. I've seen it, I've touched it. It is absolutely genius, and I highly recommend using even just check it out. Check out Air Skirts. They have a lot of great reviews, tons of great reviews. Let's talk a little bit more about, what steps we need to take to start our RV journey. So again, whether you're just starting out or you're already RVing. Some of us that are RVing, I know for Dan and I, we had bought an old RV to get started. It was a 2002 Monaco Diplomat. I honestly currently have it for sale. It's in Florida. And we were talking about selling that RV because we were looking to buy a newer, more modern unit. And we had searched high and low. So one of the things I suggest is looking at what RV is right for you. This is a question I get asked all the time. What's the right type of RV? So you have your Class A, your Class B, your Class C RVs, your Super Cs, you have your travel trailers, your fifth wheels. I'm not sure if I'm missing any types. You have various brands, and you have your dealerships to decide which dealership is best for you. One of the ways I believe to find your first RV or your next RV is RV shows. The Tampa Super Show is in a few days of this episode going live. It's actually called the Florida RV Super Show, and it is in Tampa. And that is a great place to check out various types of RVs, sit in them, walk through them, touch them, open cabinets, touch the bed, feel the bed, stand in the shower, make sure you fit. But if you can't make it to the Tampa show, there's the America's Largest Super Show in Hershey in September. There are a lot of local shows. I highly recommend really searching, going into those RVs, thinking about what it's going to be like for you and whoever will be traveling with you to make sure that, it's right for you. Ask other people what they think, why they chose the RV they did. Like I said, there's local RV shows. You could go to a local dealership And I think that's twofold. You want to see if that's a dealership you'd want to deal with, as well as checking out various RVs. I have had experts on the show from various manufacturers that talk about how to choose the right RV. I've had experts on that talk about what to look for. I've had experts on the show that talk about, getting that RV inspected, especially if it's a used RV. So these are all things to be considered. I love National Indoor RV Centers. They have 6 locations across the country. They have A, B, and C class RVs. So your large type A's, your B's, your C's, super C's. And what I love about them are the people. And that is what is number one. These are people that I know, like, and trust. They have incredible integrity. The owner, Brett Davis, is amazing. So I highly recommend checking out nirvc.com. Let's talk a little bit about the fact that being on the road, a lot of times we see the YouTube videos, the social media posts, the people sitting and watching the stars, seeing the sunset, sitting by the lake, all the beauty and wonder that is involved in RVing. And it is all there. And I have experienced so much um, RVing for as long as I did. It was amazing. The opportunities, the people I met, the experiences I had, and the things that I did and experienced that I enjoyed that I never even thought I would do, honestly. But with anything, there will be challenges. And I want to talk about some of these challenges and give some tips on how to overcome some of them. We talked a little bit about money. Money challenges on the road is a real thing. It happens to people more often than you realize. I've had people on the show that have, honestly opened up about it, opened up about their concerns. I've had other experts on the show that have helped give tips on how to make money, as we talked about already, tips on how to save money. What can you do to save money while you're on the road? And there's a lot of different things that you can do. Other challenges on the road are RV issues, which comes back again to being a money issue. Working together in a small space. Dan and I went from I think it was a 3,200 square foot home, complete with a pool, hot tub, and huge walk-in closet, to an RV that was way less than 400 square feet. We talked about how to navigate living in small spaces. There was an episode early on, how to live in a small space without killing each other was basically what the episode was, because it is going to take some doing and figuring that out. Open communication is going to be huge, as well as other tips and tricks that you're going to have to learn as you try and navigate being in a small space. Now, I don't want it to sound like it's a bad thing. While we lived in a small space, you have your outside, and that was always, just amazing. You're outside your RV, the places you explore, getting out, the scenery, all of that makes a huge difference. The other big challenge that I see and have experienced myself is health issues while you're on the road. Again, I have episodes where people have talked about the fact that they have a child that is type 1 diabetic. That was an episode I did about 4 weeks ago. How to navigate people that have medical challenges, how to get medication. There's a lot of information around that. As some of you know, I had my own experience back in March. Dan became ill, and I realized that we needed additional help. It wasn't something that was just going to be easily fixed. So we had always said, and a lot of people I think say this, home for us, we had no longer any sticks and bricks. We had put stuff in storage in the beginning, and then we got rid of all of the storage units. So we only had the RV and what was in the RV. And we always said that home was wherever the RV was. So if somebody said, "Where's home?" Wherever we were, we're in Orlando, Florida right now, that's home. Well, that was great until Dan became ill, and I knew we would need more help with his medical challenges. And I wanted to be quote unquote home. I wanted to be near family and friends because I wanted the help and support. And thankfully, when he started becoming ill in March, in April, we decided to come back to Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia, to be with friends and family. And as some people know, he, soon after we got back, went into the hospital. He had had a couple of strokes that has left him cognitively impaired. And going through that was one of the biggest challenges that I've ever been through, whether an RV or not. It was a huge emotional, uh, it, as people who have dealt with somebody with severe medical issues can only imagine. Um, and so I'm telling that story because, again, being quote unquote home, being near friends and family was what got me through, was the help, the support I needed. And what I want people to be aware of is while most of us have medical insurance, car and RV insurance, we have all those insurances and those things in place that we hope we will never need, right? Those insurances that we buy, we hope to pay it every month or every year and never need it. And there is something that has come up a lot in the RV community. I have had people ask about how do I get back home if somebody is ill. They've asked about insurance companies that will send people back home. They will move the RV back to quote unquote wherever home is. So there's been a lot of conversation over the last several months as to what do you do, asking me about some of these companies. And so I thought this was a good time to give my personal experience. And I will start by saying some of this is limited. I'm giving you the best of my knowledge on this. I will have an expert on the show in the next couple of months to actually break these questions down and give better information. But I don't want this episode to go without at least telling you what I think is important, my personal experience. So let's back up. You have a medical emergency years ago. Dan became ill. I had to call an ambulance. He had to go to the hospital. He was in the hospital for several weeks. That is a medical emergency. We all know we could call an ambulance, go to a hospital. That's an easy one. He then recovered, came back to the RV and recovered in the RV. We did not need to come back home. There are situations where could have been the situation with Dan, where if he had become ill while we were in Florida and I needed to get back home, me just either driving him myself once he became ill or taking him myself on an airplane would have been, I believe, I can't think of the word, but it would not have been a good thing. Once he came back to the Philadelphia area, his condition deteriorated. And had I waited and tried to bring him back home, would have been horrible. So let me just talk about a couple different options that people have in an emergency situation once they are stabilized. So in an emergency situation, you could have an air ambulance that may, have to medevac you to a hospital. Once you get to the hospital and you're stable and you either want to get back to your home base or you want to get back to a different facility, a medical facility. Let's say you're in a hospital in Orlando, Florida, and you have a spinal injury and that hospital cannot handle it. You need to be transported to a medical facility that could handle a spinal injury. You don't want to be doing that yourself. You need what's called a medical escort. And so there are a number of reasons. There are a number of companies out there. I will say that my good friend Bob's company, Flying Angels, is just that. They are truly angels. I'm grateful that right in the situation I was in, I didn't need them, but I also knew that if I did need them, they would have taken care of everything from the time that I call their coordinator and I tell them what the situation was. Dan's in a hospital. He needs to be transported back to the Philadelphia area to another hospital or facility, and they handle absolutely every step of that. That flight coordinator takes care of the flights. They take care of the medical escort. These are highly trained doctors and or nurses that will escort the patient based on what their needs are. And so they coordinate the entire process, the transport from the hospital to the airport. They then put them on a commercial airline, which makes it more affordable. Once that person lands, they take them from the airport to either the hospital or home, wherever they are going, and they follow them through the entire process. And again, this is somebody who's a friend of mine, but this is a company that I truly believe in. And I recommend not believing what I'm saying, but you could look at, they have something like 250 five-star reviews on Google. And so you could check out what people that have used them are actually saying. The reason I'm bringing all of this up is this is one of those services that I may have needed for Dan, and I was grateful to know a company that could take care of this. People need to be prepared. That's why we have insurance, health insurance, RV insurance. That's why we have insurances, because we need to be prepared for things that might come up. That's not meant to have you live in fear, but being prepared is a very, very helpful, good thing to have. We need to also, I believe, find our people, our support. I have been able to get through what happened with Dan because of my family and my friends. And one of the things that a long time ago I realized, I was calling people friends that weren't necessarily there for me the way that I would have been there for you. And I have a friend that says, a friend is somebody, if you call in the middle of the night and say, come and bring a shovel, is the person that would come without asking questions. And that is what a true friend is. And I am grateful that I have those people in my life, which has helped me get through some of the toughest times in my life. So on that, I hope that you find your people and your community within the RV life community. There are amazing, incredible people, and they are truly there to help and support. And I've seen it when I was moving out of Orlando to come back to Philadelphia. And so hopefully this gave you tips to get you started on your 2025 RV life on the right foot. We could do all the planning we want, stuff comes up, and, we just have to be able to go with it. What's coming for this year, 2025, the RV Life podcast plans? First of all, I'd love to hear from you, my listeners. So whether you put a comment, question, topic you'd like to hear, you want to be a guest, let me know in the section of whatever podcast platform you're listening from. Or if you have questions, let me know. Just put it in the review section, or you can reach out to me at RV Life Podcast on Instagram or Facebook. I answer and respond to every question. If you reach out to me and I don't respond, I may have missed it. So just reach out, because I miss things. Sometimes I get a lot of a lot of people reaching out. So my plan for 2025 is to continue to bring experts on, special guests, actual RVers, and I have a lot of incredible topics lined up for this year. So I'm hoping that 2025, I know it'll be the best year ever. But now it's time for the question of the week. For those of you who are first time listening to the RV Life podcast, I usually ask my guests something that is on their bucket list. And this question of the week is brought to you by Open Roads Innovative Toll Solutions. And this is a great way to save money because it is a toll pass that not only covers all 48 states, but if you should get a fine, they have concierge service and they will work through it for you. Last year, I spent about $150 in fines because I went through a toll. I got the information too late and they put fines on and they would not do anything to help. So Innovative Tolls could have saved me that money. There is a link in the show notes. Again, this covers all 48 states. One toll pass for both of your vehicles if you have a tow car or if you have a truck towing your fifth wheel or travel trailer. On my bucket list this year is my hope that people make a bucket list and start working on thinking about making plans to check items off their bucket list. It is my hope that my listeners live life to the fullest. That's my hope. It's now time for the featured campground of the week, and that is brought to you by RV Life Pro. And with RV Life Pro, we hope you journey with confidence with the RV Life Pro suite of products. It is the RV Trip Wizard, RV Safe GPS, and Campground Reviews. This week, Fiesta Key, which is in Long Key, Florida, and it is an Encore campground. You do not need to be a member to stay at this campground. They have 324 sites. The Keys in Florida is on my bucket list. I really want to go to the Keys. This campground, you are surrounded by water in this resort. You can sit and watch the sunset, as well as many amenities that they have. They offer full hookups, pull-in sites, pet area, and rentals are available. Fiesta Keys has a solid 8 rating on the RV Life campgrounds with 159 reviews. It is so easy to book your stay by going to campgrounds.rvlife.com and search Fiesta Keys, where you will see pictures, a full list of their amenities about this campground, as well as other campgrounds, parks, resorts, city, state, and national parks, and so much more. Visit campgrounds.rvlife.com. Again, it's part of the RV Life Pro suite of products. If you do not have the membership, the app, you can get that for 25% off by going to the show notes. Again, I want to thank my listeners for listening, for reaching out, for your questions, for giving me feedback. I really appreciate it. And as we continue to move into 2025, again, please let me know if you'd like to be a guest, ideas for guests or topics. And you could do that here in the review section or on my social media at RV Life Podcast, Instagram, and Facebook. I really appreciate people reaching out to me. Life's a journey. Live each day to the fullest and leave no room for regrets. I'm Patty Hunt, and you have been listening to the RV Life Podcast.